Whoever said single-player games are dead didn't see the games that are releasing in 2026. Every one of these games is a single-player first experience, and if you're missing the old days of gaming when everything wasn't trying to be a live service or was released into early access, then get these 10 games onto your radar, your wish list, or however else you plan to keep track of the best upcoming games of 2026. We've already compiled our list of the top 26 best upcoming indie games of 2026 with 26 amazing titles that attempt to blur the lines of what an indie game is, but as with indie games, there are a lot of variables, and some of these just won't be able to live up to the promises that they make. But what about the system sellers, the blockbusters, and the games that push the envelope, the games that are guaranteed to be hits and worth every penny? These are the top 10 most anticipated games of 2026. Before jumping into the video, I just want to take a quick second to say thank you. I understand that life is busy and that time is valuable. I appreciate you being here, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the video. If Halo is the most iconic Xbox franchise, then Gears of War is 1B, and when a series tries to go back to its roots, there is always a reason to be optimistic, at least cautiously optimistic, and this is exactly what looks to be happening with Gears of War E-Day. For starters, the game is titled Gears of War and not just Gears, which was a change that was made to the series to make it more modern with games like Gears 5 and Gears Tactics. Furthermore, characters that the audience adores and grew old with are returning, including Marcus, Dom, and likely many others. In addition, it certainly looks like E-Day will be returning back to the darker tones that the series was founded upon. Gears of War became legend on the original Xbox due to the grit, horror, and visceral nature of the experience. Finally, in the trailer, the song Mad World was used once again, which made its debut when Gary Jules reimagined a Tears for Fears classic from 1993 for a Gears of War's trailer in 2006 that has since become iconic. All of this indicates how important the series still is to Xbox, as they want to bring it back to its glory days, and there is no better way than to get back to what made Gears of War iconic in the first place. A dark and visceral but intimate experience about a small squad trying to overcome insurmountable odds and save the world. The upcoming Gears of War takes place during Emergence Day, hence the title E-Day, when the Locusts began their invasion, which happens 14 years before the events of the original Gears of War. Placing the game at this particular moment in the Gears of War timeline when the emergence was just beginning gives the Coalition a lot of freedom to create some incredible stories within this universe and flesh out characters that we already love even more. With Halo Campaign Evolved just being announced to be coming to PlayStation in 2026 and Gears of War Reloaded releasing on PlayStation in 2025, along with many other previously Xbox exclusives, it's safe to assume that Gears of War E-Day will be on PlayStation Day 1 and will have a chance to be the biggest and best entry in the series yet. This might be a hot take, but Returnal is one of the best PlayStation 5 exclusives. What most people see in Returnal is just another roguelike that makes you do the same thing over and over, which Returnal technically does. However, the gameplay of Returnal is deeply connected to the narrative, as it's an allegory for someone dealing with a traumatic loss in their life, which is something that you would live with over and over in your head, infinitely similar to a roguelike. Few games can achieve synergy between narrative and gameplay like this, and all of the bosses were named after Greek gods, including loss, punishment, horror, and fear. When you combine the gameplay with the layered meanings, it becomes clear that Returnal is a much more powerful experience than it appears on the surface, and offers a lot more than just your average roguelike. This brings us back to Saros, which is Returnal 2 in all but name. PlayStation and Housemarque want to give Saros the best chance at finding success, and tying it to Returnal just wouldn't do that. In Saros, you play as Soltari enforcer Arjun, who finds himself trapped on the hostile, shape-shifting planet of Carcosa. What Arjun finds on Carcosa is the remnants of an ancient civilization that is fueled by the power of the Eclipse. What's evident when watching Saros gameplay is that it's unquestionably another product of Housemarque, as it features all of the staples with the third-person action, the fast-paced movement, and the bombastic soundtrack that the studio is known for. The main talking point that Saros has used during its reveal was to come back stronger. Arjun has the ability to use Eclipse Corruption energy to unlock permanent progression items like the one shown in the trailer, which was called Second Chance, that essentially gives you a bonus life in the game. It's clear that Housemarque is trying to address the criticisms of Returnal. Saros is a lot of things. It's arguably a sequel to Returnal, it sounds like a roguelite this time around, making the experience slightly more accessible to a wider audience, and it definitely seems like Saros is the next certified PlayStation hit. The easiest game to put on this list is GTA 6, but I'm likely hoping for something from the game very different than most people. It's evident from the 2 trailers that this game is going to look stunning and feature some incredible missions, but what I'm most interested in is to see what the studio does with the narrative after their great work with Red Dead Redemption 2, because it's already guaranteed to have stunning visuals and insane missions. The story of outlaws coming to terms with becoming extinct as the Wild West disappeared while dealing with terminal illness and doing the right thing created some very poignant moments in the experience. It's not a stretch to say that the narrative prowess of Rockstar has greatly evolved over the years, which was especially noticeable between GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. As someone who didn't enjoy the 3-tiered approach from GTA 5 or connect with any of the 3 characters, unlike many previous Rockstar characters like Arthur Morgan, John Marston, or Nico Bellic, this time around, I'm hoping for a more serious and grounded tone despite it taking place in an over-the-top setting, and Grand Theft Auto 6 appears to be focusing on a more intimate and personal story about these 2 anti-heroes. In Grand Theft Auto 6, you play as Jason and Lucia, 2 lovers who are on the wrong side of things after an easy job goes wrong. Jason was raised around crime and tried to get away from it all during some time in the army, but still finds himself in a life of crime, helping local drug runners in the Florida Keys. Lucia was raised to be tough from her dad and not take crap from anyone. Using the lessons her father taught her, she ended up serving some time defending her family. With her newfound freedom, Lucia wants to turn things around and have the good life, but at what cost? Can Jason and Lucia find the good life together, or is history doomed to repeat itself like Bonnie and Clyde? The trailer showcases the missions that we have come to expect from the series, such as big heists and small robberies, but it would be safe to expect a lot of new ideas in the mission structure, and will hopefully bring a lot of their introspective missions from Red Dead Redemption 2 into Grand Theft Auto 6. In between all of this, players will be exploring the fictional state of Leonida that blurs the line between reality and satire, and it will be very interesting to see how Rockstar handles a lot of the hot button issues happening in the world today. Luigi's Mansion 4 hasn't been announced yet, but I have never been more sure that a game will release than this title. Next Level Games from Vancouver had a very strong and mostly successful relationship creating games for Nintendo dating back to 2005 with Super Mario Strikers on the GameCube. They also created Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon for the Nintendo 3DS and Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Switch in 2019, among many others. In 2021, Next Level Games were acquired by Nintendo. In 2019, Luigi's Mansion 3 became a breakout success for the series and sold nearly 15 million copies. What makes Luigi's Mansion 4 guaranteed is because Next Level Games have been operating like clockwork prior to their acquisition from Nintendo. Every 3 years, Next Level Games would release a title. In 2022, there was Mario Strikers Battle League. In 2019, there was Luigi's Mansion 3. In 2016, Metroid Prime Federation Force. And in 2013, it was Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. This means that 2025 should have been the year for the studio to release a new game. A new Nintendo console and a new Luigi's Mansion looked like a sure thing for launch, but with many titles already lined up for 2025 like Donkey Kong Bonanza, Mario Kart World, along with other high-profile releases like Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon Legends ZA, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Nintendo had an easy choice to push it into 2026. Luigi's Mansion 3 was one of the best games for the Nintendo Switch, of which there were many, and although it might not look that way, it's one of the best co-op games of recent years as well. The major criticism was that it took too long to acquire the Luigi ability, meaning that the second player had to wait too long to get involved. Getting the second player involved right away is crucial for Luigi's Mansion 4. Luigi's Mansion 3 had the best gameplay of the series, and the original Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube had the best tone as it felt like Nintendo's version of Resident Evil. It would be incredible if Next Level Games could capture the best of both worlds. The hope is that Nintendo allowing Next Level Games an extra year will give the studio extra time for polish and refinements, which will hopefully make Luigi's Mansion 4 the best entry in the series. I love James Bond, I love Hitman, and what IO Interactive have done is combine the world of 007 with the gameplay of Agent 47, which should be a winning formula. However, First Light hasn't won me over just yet from the early previews, but IO Interactive have earned enough goodwill from their recent hot streak, beginning with Hitman in 2016, Hitman 2 in 2018, and Hitman 3 in 2021. After a decade of high-quality releases and title support, I am a believer that whatever IO Interactive releases will be phenomenal. First Light is releasing during a pivotal moment in the long-running series as it's currently between actors and direction. Every actor that has embraced the role on the big screen has brought something different, including a more serious tone that Daniel Craig recently brought to the series. This period of contemplation about the new series direction is likely a very good thing for 007 First Light, as it will have its own moment and won't be directly compared to anything. In 007 First Light, you don't actually start the game as 007, but as a fledgling recruit in the MI6 training program. After a heroic act, James is offered the chance to join the newly revived 00 training program. Despite starting at the beginning of his career, it looks like 007 First Light will feature all of the iconic items that the series has become known for, including stunning locations, incredible cars, conspiracies, gadgets, and plenty of sharp wit. Aligning perfectly with their strength, most of these are already areas that IO Interactive have shown that they can excel in. Hitman has been full of gadgets since its inception in 2002, and the recent reboot of the series has taken players to some incredibly stunning locations. The Bond series has been known for romance, and with the most recent iteration, James has also become more emotionally complex. Since we already know that the studio can handle stealth, action, and infiltration, these are areas that I am most interested to see how IO Interactive handles. Agent 47 is mostly devoid of emotional depth, which means that this will be fairly uncharted territory for the studio. Early indications are good, as the origin story that they have developed sounds promising, with James losing his parents during a mountain climbing expedition when he was only 11, as they had to cut their own rope to save his life. The big question is, how will they evolve this setup, and do they have the writing skills required to create a nuanced experience to pair with the action that First Light will undoubtedly offer and match up to the most recent Bond iterations that have crafted a more mature character. Resident Evil has been on an incredible streak since they soft rebooted the franchise with Resident Evil 7 in 2017. That means that over the past 8 years and 5 releases, Capcom have kept the momentum going with 3 remakes and 2 mainline entries. The highlight of Resident Evil 9 is an all-new character, which is a big change of pace from Ethan Winters, who was the main protagonist in RE7 and RE8, as well as what looks to be a bigger focus on the psychological aspect of horror. In Requiem, you play as FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft, and one day while working on many of her open cases, Grace is called into an urgent meeting to learn that another body has been discovered in an abandoned hotel. Grace was called in because the body has the same unidentifiable disease from an unsolved case that she's worked on, which makes her the perfect candidate to lead this investigation. In a dark twist of fate, the body was discovered at the same hotel that her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, died at over 8 years ago. Since her mother's death, Grace has become somewhat introverted and buried herself in work to occupy her mind and emotions. Due to this, Grace has decided to investigate the case at the hotel alone, where she will also be confronting her demons from the past. Resident Evil Requiem brings the series back to Raccoon City, the epicenter of the 1998 biological disaster that shook the world. Teetering on the brink of a complete zombie apocalypse, the government approved a sterilization operation in an attempt to control the zombie outbreak with a missile strike that was swiftly covered up. Grace's mother Alyssa was a journalist and was one of the survivors of the Raccoon City incident, who was determined to find the truth behind what really happened. Requiem features the 4 pillars that the series was founded upon, with puzzles, combat, resource management, and investigation. Grace will not only be trying to face her demons and the horrors that await her in the hotel, but also she's trying to uncover the truth behind what really happened in Raccoon City and why it was covered up. Not only does the lead character of Grace spark more interest than Ethan did from more recent entries, but adding a psychological aspect ups the ante as you question what is real and what isn't. Wolverine is being created by Insomniac, and this alone is enough reason to justify why Wolverine should be on the list, but that wouldn't be very interesting. Since their beginning, Insomniac have been making great 3D platformers like Spyro the Dragon, Ratchet & Clank that have since become iconic, but they eventually evolved into a more mature developer with the series Resistance: Fall of Man. Most recently, Insomniac have been faultless with some of the best PlayStation titles of recent memory, with Marvel Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. After 3 great games set in the Marvel Universe, Insomniac have now set their sights on Logan with Marvel's Wolverine, which will without a doubt push the studio into new territory, as this will be their most violent and visceral experience yet. In the preview, the over-the-top violence is on display at all times, not only during epic set pieces and cinematics, but also during gameplay where you can see an enemy's arm get sliced off in real time, which will create an immersive experience. It also wouldn't be surprising to see the studio incorporate their Rift Apart tech into Wolverine with Logan's memories and the present. As for the character, Insomniac have their hands full creating a new Wolverine because over the past 3 decades, people have gotten to know Hugh Jackman's version quite well. But the studio has earned trust after their work on Spider-Man, a series that was released parallel to multiple theatrical releases, with Tom Holland in the role of Peter Parker, but Insomniac were still able to carve out an identity of their own with a unique story and a different Peter Parker. In this original story, Wolverine finds himself on the hunt for answers about his dark past that will take him across the globe from the tropical sun-drenched island of Madripoor, the unforgiving wild of Canada, and the neon-soaked streets of Tokyo. Insomniac states that Wolverine will be much darker and more brutal than what you might expect from the studio, which is good news. The last time the studio went in a darker direction than they were known for was with Resistance, which was dark for 2006. Resistance was a jewel on the PS3 and blossomed into a very successful series with 5 entries, 3 on the PS3, 1 on the PSP, and 1 on the Vita. In Blood of Dawnwalker, you play as Cohen, a young man from the 14th century who is trying to survive during the Black Death Plague. During this moment of weakness in humanity, vampires have chosen to rise up against the royalty, and in the madness, Cohen has been turned into a daywalker or half-breed or half-vampire. Cohen now has 30 days to save his family or exact revenge and destroy everyone. In this short period of time, you won't be able to complete everything you want to and must make hard choices as there won't be a distinguishable line between main and side quests. Will you save your family or will you seek revenge? In the words of the director, time is a resource, and with each quest progressing its passage, it will be impossible to complete all the stories and arcs before the deadline, making each playthrough unique. In most RPGs, you have the luxury of time to complete quests at your leisure, which is often very juxtaposed by the severity of the situation in most games. Rebel Wolves want to revolutionize the RPG, and this is one way that they might be able to do that. The other way is your extremely unique skill set as a daywalker. The 30 days also includes 30 nights because as a daywalker you walk a tightrope between human in the daylight and vampire in the darkness. This means that your skill set will change depending on the time of day. According to the studio, players will have different skills, abilities, and storyline outcomes. Blood of Dawnwalker is easy to get excited about because of the studio pedigree of Rebel Wolves. The studio was founded in early 2022 by ex-CD Projekt devs, including the director of The Witcher 3, along with many other talents that include directors, developers, and writers who have worked on The Witcher, Cyberpunk, and Thronebreaker. Vampires are underutilized in gaming, especially at the AAA level. Rebel Wolves were founded with the goal being to revolutionize the RPG. Blood of Dawnwalker might have big expectations to live up to, but from what we have heard and seen, it also has high potential. Mouse has come a long way from just looking like something trying to capitalize on Mickey Mouse going into public domain and the popularity of Cuphead. Mouse has also come even farther from the first clips Fumi Games showed of the game in early development with concepts and grey box assets. It appears that my early judgment was very wrong and I couldn't be more happy about it. I still consider Mouse to be an indie game, but it has enough clout and support behind it that it makes the push into the big leagues with publishing support from Playside, being featured at Summer Game Fest, and getting Troy Baker to voice the lead actor. In Mouse PI, you play as former war hero turned private investigator Jack Pepper, who is trying to get to the bottom of a conspiracy filled with police corruption, kidnapping, gangs, and murder. I was fortunate enough to get a behind closed door look at Mouse PI for Hire with the dev team back at Summer Game Fest Playdays, and what I saw looks a lot more than just your average first-person shooter. I was immediately sold when the team said that one of their major inspirations was Metroid Prime, which became evident in the level design that features Metroidvania elements. First-person shooter is a genre that has been done to death, which means that you need to offer something that players haven't experienced before, and Mouse PI for Hire is attacking this problem from a variety of ways. There is the obvious art direction that immediately demands your attention with a 1930s rubber hose animation style, but Mouse goes far beyond that with a pulpy noir detective story, an immersive sim approach to the levels, and innovation in the weapon and abilities department. In the short demo that we saw where you need to gain access to the opera, there were a variety of ways to do just that. One option was to bribe the waiter who would help sneak you in if you had the money, which is an entirely different problem. But with a little exploration, you could discover a vent cover that could be unscrewed, and once off, you would gain access through the vents to the areas of the opera that were previously inaccessible and guarded. As a private investigator, every mission will start at the hub, where you will be able to put pieces of the case together at your office, go to the mechanic for upgrades, and then go to the pub where you can find minigames. Once you figure out your next clue and where it will lead you, Jack Pepper gets in his car and heads into the overworld, where he can go to one of the game's many biomes. Mouse will feature over 10 different biomes that are filled with missions that pay tribute to the cartoons of that era. I went back and forth on putting Pragmata on the list because there is already another Capcom title on the list with Resident Evil Requiem, and I wanted wider variety. However, at the end of the day, what I wanted more was to have the games that I am most excited about, and it's hard to bet against Capcom, a developer that has made some of the most iconic franchises in gaming. Between the 30 minutes that we played at Summer Game Fest and what we have seen, there is good reason to be excited for Capcom's newest IP. In addition to Pragmata being a brand new IP, it also speaks volumes about their faith in the franchise that they didn't cancel it when they clearly had plenty of opportunities to do so after the first trailer was revealed in June 2020 with a 2022 release date. One of the more exciting aspects of Pragmata is that it's science fiction, which is a different experience from the average Capcom title, which is typically horror, action, or fantasy. In the near future, Hugh and other members of the research team are sent to the Lunar Research Station to investigate the loss of contact. Shortly after arriving on the moon, Hugh gets separated from the rest of the team during a lunar quake. Hugh awakens to find that his life had been saved thanks to an android named Diana, and now they need to work together to find a way back to Earth. It will be interesting to see how the relationship between human and AI is handled during the game, but that is only part of the equation. The other part that I can speak from a place of experience is the movement and the combat. The movement was intentionally heavy and felt reminiscent of Dead Space, and the combat system incorporated a hacking minigame which might look clunky and jarring in the middle of a third-person action experience, but it fit quite well. In just a 30-minute demo, the mechanic evolved nicely too. The lunar base is filled with evil androids who are equipped with hard outer shells that block most of the damage. With the help of Diana, she is able to override their security systems and expose them to major damage through this hacking game that is reminiscent of Pipe Mania from 1989. What's great is that the game doesn't slow down as you try to override their defenses, which becomes very stressful as you feel vulnerable and exposed. At the start of the demo, you only had to connect a few nodes on a grid, which was quite simple, but as the experience evolved, new mechanics were slowly added in, like passing through more nodes to do extra damage, and this was just a taste, so it will be very interesting to see how Pragmata evolves throughout. Once again, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, subscribe. If you want to help, leave a comment or a like, as that will help with the algorithm the most. That's it for this video, and until next time, be good to your fellow gamer, but more importantly, be better to your fellow human.